Hey, friends, welcome back to Hot Air with me, Joshua Robert. This is the podcast where we talk about the stuff that we're all thinking, especially when everyone else is pretending that everything is magical. And today's episode is for anyone who loves the holidays and also kind of hates them, or feels weird, or feels fine but not festive, or feels emotionally unhinged for no clear reason while you're standing in a Target aisle. That is me. And I know I said it's religion, 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 Jesus central up in here in December, but something happened the other night that made me pause and made me think for a moment about kind of the bigger picture and what is important or could be important or frankly should be important. I was scrolling through social media as I do while I was in bed, as I do, and I saw that just down the road, a few blocks away, that the freeway was closed down because somebody had jumped off of the bridge. And that happens a lot this time of year. And it's really sad. And I it's like we see it too much. We see so many people that just can't handle it, whether it's mental health, whether it's the state of the world, whether it's politics affecting them so deeply. There's these things that are just so deep inside us around the holidays that the holidays kind of magnify, right? So I was like, let's pause from religion and let's kind of dive into that a little bit, the mental health aspect of it. That's kind of where this concept came from. I was like, let's pause Jesus for a hot second and see if we can offer something a little bit more helpful, something that's going to help uplift those that maybe feel a little down this December. So again, we've talked a lot about religion this month, trauma, super heavy stuff. So today we're doing something different. This is a gentler episode. It's still honest. I'm still going to be hilarious, obviously, but it's very much a sit on the couch with me. Let's lower the bar kind of conversation. Let's lower the bar and then go to the bar. Okay. We are going to talk about holiday mental health, why December messes with your emotions, why family brings out very old versions of you. We all know that. Why money stress and body image go wild this time of year, and how to get through it without losing your mind or your boundaries, because boundaries are important. This is not necessarily an episode about fixing yourself. It's about survival. It's about surviving the season with a little more compassion and a lot more pressure. And yes, I also made you a holiday mental health survival guide because I care and because we love a takeaway. So at the end, we're going to wrap it all up and we're going to do this little survival guide situation. Just if you really want like a short snippet, skip to the last like 3 minutes of this episode. And full transparency, I did a lot of research for this episode because I love the holidays. I always feel a lot of joy in the holidays. I get excited. I love decorating, even when I can't buy presents for people. Maybe there's years when I can't afford it and there's years when I can. I really try not to stress during the holidays, but sometimes it does creep in. So I'm going to try to sprinkle some stories in here and there. But a lot of this information is coming from outside sources, from very reputable therapists, life coaches, people that I've researched. And hopefully, this is going to help you guys just like, let's remain calm. Let's not commit any crimes. Speaking of crimes, side note, I went to my therapist the other day and I was like, I am going to murder someone today. And he was like, do you mean that? Or are you joking? And I was like, what? Of course I'm joking. What are you talking about? He's like, well, I would have to report that. I'm like, bro, of course I'm joking. Little 5'7", 150-pound me. I'm strong as fuck. I'll cut a bitch, but I'm not gonna kill anybody. Let's be real. All right, you guys. So you get comfy. Let's breathe. Unclench your jaw. Seriously, take a breath. Relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Like feel the seat that you are sitting in. That's gonna come into handy in January with another episode I have coming. Just breathe. Be here. Be present. Listen to the sound of my voice. And let's hit it. Part 1. Why the holidays feel hard, even when everything is fine. Let's begin with the most confusing feeling of December, when nothing is technically wrong, but you feel a little bit off. like emotionally itchy, like something is bothering you, but you cannot point to it. You don't know what it is. So your brain just shrugs and says, well, I guess we're sad now. And this frankly happens not just in December. This is actually incredibly normal, though. And no, you're not ungrateful, you're not broken, and you are not dramatic. There is a real science behind this. The holidays bring a perfect storm of emotional pressure, disrupted routines, less daylight, there's more alcohol, there's more sugar, there's more expectations, and a sudden demand that you feel joy on command. Your nervous system does not respond well to being told, okay, go be happy now, put a smile on, joy to the world. Forced joy is stressful. Studies show that when people feel pressured to feel positive emotions, it actually increases anxiety and depressive symptoms. So when you're scrolling Instagram and everyone is baking cookies or getting engaged, they look like they're glowing and captioning photos with so grateful heart emoji, your brain goes, why am I not doing that? And then suddenly, joy feels like a performance that you are failing. And we always know social media is a different story than real life, honey. But add to that seasonal affective disorder, otherwise known as SAD, which affects mood due to reduced sunlight. Less daylight equals lower serotonin equals more bleh feelings. That alone can mess with you emotionally, even if your life is objectively okay. And I, for one, know that to be fact because every winter growing up in Canada, raging asshole right here. Me, I'm pointing to myself. I was such a cunt. I was so moody. Mix in your teenage hormones in there. Like I was a shitty, terrible human. Even if it wasn't outside, the thoughts that I was thinking about people and the way that I felt, not good. Which is why I relocated to California. There's also another aspect to this. There's emotional memory. December is loaded with past experiences. You've got family stuff, old relationships, breakups, losses, traditions that don't exist anymore, and your brain remembers all of it, whether you want it to or not. So when you think, nothing's wrong, so why do I feel so weird? The answer is usually because your nervous system is overwhelmed. Your expectations are unrealistic, and your emotions are responding honestly. So here's how we are going to reframe this once we can point it out. You don't need a reason to feel the way you feel. A practical tool here is emotional labeling. Research shows that simply naming what you're feeling, I feel overwhelmed, or I feel disconnected, or I feel pressured, reduces the intensity of that emotion. You don't have to fix it, you just name it, which really brings me back to the core of this podcast. When I started it, I was in a state of limerence over some guy. And that limerence wasn't love. It wasn't lust. It was my brain doing something else. Go listen to that episode about limerence. You'll learn a lot. But giving something a name, whether it's a name you make up for it, like manifesting, which I've also talked about on other episodes, when I'm also dating someone or getting to know somebody new, when I start thinking about our cabin in the woods and our wedding and meeting the family when I've only known them for like a month, I think it's manifesting. What it is manifesting, and it's not good when it doesn't work out. So give it a name, make it up, or just point out what your emotion is. Also, stop asking yourself why you aren't happier and start asking what you might need more of. Do you need more rest? Do you need less socializing? Usually it's that. Fewer plans? Usually it's that. Do you want more comfort? Your emotions are just data, they are not a failure. So feel what you have to feel. Don't beat yourself up for feeling that. I always am like, I might have plans tonight. I might have plans on Saturday. If I don't feel like it on Saturday, I'm not going. Even if I committed to those plans a month ago, if something happens where my emotions say, you just really don't want to be there, are you going to have FOMO? Do you feel like you're going to miss out? If not, and your mind and your body and your soul and your heart is saying stay home, stay the fuck home. Do yourself a solid. Listen to your feelings. Part 2, family dynamics, the holiday remix that nobody asked for. Nothing humbles personal growth like going home for the holidays, which is why I don't do it anymore. You can be emotionally evolved. You can be in therapy, self-aware, drinking your green juice, and then one comment from a family member sends you spiraling back into your 17-year-old self faster than you can say, I've done the work. And we all know exactly what that feels like. This happens because family activates old neural pathways. Your brain associates these people with earlier versions of you. So it automatically drops you into those roles: the responsible one, the screw up, the quiet one, the why are you still single one, or in my case, the funny hot one. I'm kidding, but am I kidding? You'll never know. But truly, this really resonates with me. Like, this is right on point because I keep saying to my family, I'm like, stop holding me to a standard of 16-year-old me. I am 37 now. I'm a completely different person. But what they're actually doing is activating these old neural pathways. So it's technically not their fault. I just have to work on rewiring my noggin, which we know takes some time. And this whole experience is called emotional regression, and it's incredibly common. Your nervous system isn't responding to the present moment, it's responding to a memory. That's why one comment can ruin your entire mood. It's not about what was said, it's about what it represents. And for some people, that can be really heavy, and others, not so much. But here is a good little reframe that I'm going to take, and you can take. You're not overreacting, you're time traveling. And a helpful tool is just to ground yourself in the present. Literally say to yourself, I'm an adult. I live my own life and I am safe. And it sounds cheesy, but it works incredibly well. Remind yourself of who you are now. Another tool: choose one sentence that you won't engage past. Something like, I'm happy with where I'm at, or I'm not discussing that today. Repeat it like a broken record. You do not owe explanations. And also, we know humor helps. Laugh internally, sometimes laugh out loud. You are allowed to observe the chaos instead of absorbing it. Part 3: grief shows up loud as hell during the holidays. Grief does not check the calendar. It shows up in empty chairs, missing texts, traditions that feel hollow, relationships that did not survive the year, especially that. Because, if we're dating someone, we're like, oh, can't wait to have Christmas with them. Sometimes it doesn't happen. And it doesn't just apply like to death. We grieve breakups, friendships, old versions of ourselves, the life we thought that we would have by now. Again, something we can all relate to because most of us are not in that place that we thought we might be in, which is also not always a bad thing. But the holidays amplify this because they're built around memory and meaning. Psychologically, grief intensifies when routines change, and December blows up routines completely. My calendar is all over the board. I don't even know what day it is today. I don't even know if I'm doing a podcast right now. The mistake that people make is thinking that grief cancels out joy, or vice versa, and it doesn't. You can miss someone and laugh in the same day. You can feel sad and grateful at the same time. That's emotional maturity. It's not confusion. You're allowed to feel a wide spectrum, a big range of emotions all at one time. And research shows that allowing grief instead of suppressing it leads to better emotional regulation and long-term mental health. Here's your helpful little reframe. Grief is not a sign that you are stuck. It is a sign you loved. It means you cared about something. I was personal training one of my clients today, Bob. He's 85. His knee hurts. He's had one knee replacement, a shoulder replacement, all the things. And I said to him, I was like, you know what? You're feeling a lot of things, a lot of cricks and creaks and a lot of pain. But you know what that means? We're alive. We're here at the gym. We are working out. We still get to move. Because if you weren't feeling it, you'd be dead, Bob. And the same goes with grief. You're feeling it because you cared about something, because you have the ability to love, whether it's a hobby you loved, a person you loved, a friend that you lost. Again, there's a big spectrum, but it means that you're living. Here's a practical tool. Give grief a container. Maybe it's a walk, a journal entry, lighting a candle, listening to one song that lets you cry. Just let it out. When grief has a place to go, it doesn't ambush you as much. Part 4. Loneliness in a season built around togetherness. As we know, loneliness hits differently when everyone else looks booked and busy and fabulous. Especially if you're single, if you are estranged from family, or in a season of transition. Social media makes this way worse by showing highlight reels that your brain compares against your behind the scenes reality. Here's the science though. Loneliness is not about being alone. It's about feeling disconnected. You can be surrounded by people and feel lonely. You can be alone and you can feel peaceful. Finding that balance is not easy, but it's very important. And loneliness increases your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, which is why it can feel physically heavy. So here's your reframe: you're not failing the holidays, you're just in a quieter chapter. A practical little shift is seek connection, not crowds. One meaningful conversation beats 500 parties. Find that connection. It could literally be with the cashier at my favorite place, Trader Joe's, just having a little laugh. Human connection for 5 seconds can make such a huge difference. Also, unfollow accounts that make you feel worse in December. That right there is mental health. That is not avoidance. Truth be told, sometimes I go through and I'm like, why am I following these wildly fit guys that I'm like, oh, I don't look like that every time I see them? That's a negative thought. Unfollow, sorry, you're fine as hell. But like, if you're making me think that I am not in shape, I'm going to unfollow you unless I'm using you for inspiration. I want to touch a little bit more on feeling disconnected because either you're single or estranged from family. When I ended my long-term relationship with my one-day ex-husband, I I was alone for the holidays, and it was scary. It felt bad. It was sad. It was just a weird vibe because nobody expects a marriage to end. So I was spending the holidays alone. I also was like, I don't want to go back to Canada for Christmas because it's very expensive, cold as hell, have to take time off work. At that time, I wasn't making that much money. So I stayed here and I stayed alone and I tried to find peace in it. And it took me a hot second, but I was like, get yourself some stuff to make yourself a nice breakfast. Make a fun little Christmas cocktail. Make a fun latte. And that actually became tradition for me in life to treat myself to nice things, whether it's a holiday or not. I then started to rely on my friends, my chosen family. I realized that I can have that connection with people who love me equally, love me just as much as my family or just as much as my ex would have, that I connect with, that are close to me, that get me, that vibe with me, that don't judge me. Finding those people, it doesn't have to be your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother. It can be your chosen family, or it can be you treating yourself like a fucking queen, like I did that Christmas, and like I frankly continue to do time and time again. So don't feel pressured to go out and do anything. There is a lot of peace in putting your favorite movie on. Doesn't have to be a Christmas movie. It could be Scream, because I'm going to watch that over the Christmas holidays. Order a pizza from Domino's, things that bring you joy instead of feeling that sadness and that emptiness. Just give it a try if you're alone this holiday season. And now we're moving on to something equally as important, part 5, the financial stress that nobody talks about. My mother always said my mother always said money doesn't grow on trees, and I'm like, woman, it's made out of paper, so technically it does. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about money, because December turns financial anxiety into a full-blown personality trait. There's a lot of pressure to spend. The holidays are one of the few times of the year where spending money is framed as a moral obligation. Like, if you don't buy gifts or decorate or travel or contribute or show up financially, there's this quiet implication that you do not care enough. And that, my friends, is garbage. Financial stress is one of the most consistently cited contributors to anxiety and depression, especially during the holidays. Studies show cortisol levels rise significantly when people feel pressure to spend beyond their means. And cortisol doesn't care that it's the season of giving. Your nervous system just hears threat, 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 threat. What makes this worse is comparison culture. You see people traveling, gifting lavishly, hosting, and you assume they are financially fine. But what you're not seeing is their credit card debt, their family money, help from their parents, or people quietly panicking behind the scenes. The amount of people that I know or have come across that are in like $90,000 worth of credit card debt, but live a life that you would never know they're in that debt, that if they just didn't live that life, they could probably pay that debt off, is crazy. I know people that have had to cut up their credit cards, don't even have them anymore. But then you look at them in their apartment that they live in and you're like, that's beautiful. They must have great credit. They must make a shit ton of money. Little do I know that their parents gave them the deposit for that apartment or co-signed or bought them that car, or they just come from a family who has a lot of money. Not everyone's life is like that. So you cannot assume. Here's the reframe that truly matters the most. Money is a resource, not a measure of love or worth. Gifts are symbolic, but they are not the relationship that you have with someone. If someone equates your value with how much you spend, that's not a you problem. That is certainly a they problem. And that's a selfish little bitch if you ask me. So, a really helpful tool here is pre deciding. Before emotions kick in, decide what you can afford, who you're spending it on, and where you're opting out. Write it down, like literally make a list, because once emotions enter the chat, logic is going to leave the building. For example, a few Christmases ago, I actually started making money and I was like, wow, I can go back to Canada for the holidays. I can visit my family. I can buy people presents. My sister was starting to do her little apartment search and she was finally going to move out. And I was like, let me get her some fun stuff for her apartment, or lipstick that she likes, or just things like that. And I've never been able to afford to buy people Christmas presents before. As a struggling artist in LA, I could barely pay my rent. I literally had to like rip my car apart to find quarters so I could go to the 99-cent store so I could buy spaghetti and canned tomato sauce multiple times because I had no money. It was hard out here for a pimp, okay? It was rough. But there finally came a time that I started making decent money and I was like, I want to pay it back or pay it forward or show people that I care. So I got everyone gifts and it feels great, but I didn't get everyone these lavish gifts. I got something nice for my dad. I got something nice for my stepmom. I got something nice for my sister, and that was it. I didn't even, for my mom and my stepdad, I got them like smaller things. And one day, I imagine I'll flip that around one day when I do go back to Canada. But you make a list, you figure out what you can spend, you decide who you want to spend it on. And if they feel bad about it, too bad for them if they didn't get a present. But like, you just do what you can do. We can't all buy fucking Maseratis for our neighbor, okay? Another really good tool is reframing generosity. So, generosity doesn't have to be financial, it can be time, attention, care, presence. Those are resources too. And research on relational satisfaction shows that people remember emotional connection far more than material gifts. And I feel like that's a given, and we all know that. So, why are we out here struggling? Also, normalize saying this out loud. I'm keeping things simple this year, or I'm opting out of gifts this year, or I'm focusing on presents and not presents. Get it? Presents versus presents. Okay, good. We're on the same page. These are not confessions. They are boundaries, and we love a boundary. You can decide what you want to do. Maybe you're like, fuck this. I'm going to get myself Botox this year. The rest of you get nothing. Do it. I support that message. Okay, and one more thing. If you're feeling shame around money during the holidays, that shame does not belong to you. It belongs to the systems that taught people to equate consumption with care. Every holiday truly is a marketing extravaganza where every company gets richer and the little people make that happen. So don't feel bad if this year you decide, no, you ain't getting nothing from me and you ain't getting nothing from Santa. Part 6, setting boundaries without being the villain. At this point, I'm just going to get boundaries, the word boundaries tattooed across my forehead because I say it every 12 seconds. December has a very weird way of making boundaries feel kind of like they're a crime. Suddenly saying no feels rude, leaving early feels selfish, not engaging feels dramatic, and somehow you're expected to override your own mental health in the name of tradition. Here's the science. People who maintain boundaries experience lower emotional burnout, less resentment, and stronger long term relationships. Wouldn't that be cute? A long term relationship. Maybe one day. But boundaries don't destroy connection, they actually preserve it. The reason boundaries feel harder around family is because family often benefits from not having them. That is the thing. Family doesn't usually get boundaries. They don't understand when you draw a line in the sand, when you state what you will and will not accept or what you will and will not do. Family tends to think that they just get the go ahead to do whatever they want, to act however they want, to be whoever they want because you're their child or you're their brother or you're their cousin. No, honey, I got a boundary and we're going to stick with it. If you've always been the accommodating one or the fixer or the emotional sponge, boundaries feel like a personality change to other people. But to you, they feel like relief. Here's a crucial reframe. Discomfort is not harm. Someone feeling disappointed because you said no is not the same as you doing something wrong. And here's some tools that can help with that. You can have a neutral delivery, a calm tone, minimal explanation. You don't need to go into the depths of that. Repetition. Say the same sentence without expanding. And then have an exit plan. We love an exit plan. Drive yourself where you're going, set a time limit, have an out. I do this all the time. If I go out, I'm like, by 10, I'm leaving. And I tell people beforehand, I'm like, just so you know, 10 o'clock, I'm leaving. And I do. And if I want to stay longer, great. It's very rare that I want to stay out longer. My dog and my bed are calling. But I set these boundaries for myself, for the group, for my entire evening before I go out if I know that I want to be home and resting by a certain time. It's not a big deal. And if people don't like it, they'll always be like, no, stay out longer. Let's have a shot or let's go here. And I'm like, girl, I got to get my beauty sleep in. Like, no, it's not happening. And some other examples that you can say quite literally to kind of set these boundaries, you can say, I'm not getting into that today. If someone's trying to talk about something that you don't want to talk about, or say, I'm leaving early, love you, goodbye, or I'm not discussing my body, or I'm not discussing my relationships, I'm not discussing my job, because everyone's like, so are you dating? Are you still single? Ask me something else, please, dear God, this holiday season. Do not ask me one more time if I am single. I'm actually going to get a shirt made that says, yes, bitch, I'm still fucking single, okay? Remind me of it again. But truly, you can say, like, I don't want to talk about that. You don't have to divulge anything to anyone. It doesn't matter how long you've known them. It doesn't matter if you share the same bloodline or not. You don't got to talk about what you don't want to. And that really is the part that people struggle with. You do not need to justify your boundary with a trauma story. Because I said so is a complete sentence, and because I said so is enough. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks, and you decide when to open them. And only you, my dear, have the key. Part 7. Body image and food guilt during the holidays. Quite frankly, I just give up in December. That's probably not the positive advice that you want, but I just am like, screw it. I'll still go to the gym, still get my workouts. If I miss them, I miss them. But like, I'm going to eat what I want. I'm going to drink what I want. January 1st comes, we'll change it up a little bit. But the holidays are truly diet culture's Super Bowl. Suddenly food has morality. You're good or you're bad. You're being healthy or you're falling apart. And for a lot of people, family comments turn eating into a spectator sport. Doesn't everyone just love to comment on what you're eating or how you're eating and also what you're wearing? Science is very clear here. Moralizing food increases shame, disordered eating patterns, and anxiety. It does not create health. Okay? No health here. Your body does not need to earn rest, joy, or celebration. It does not need to look a certain way to deserve pleasure. You want to eat that chocolate cake? Eat it. One of the most helpful reframes is body neutrality, not love your body, not hate your body, just this is the body I live in, and it's allowed to exist without commentary. And that is kind of the stance that I take in December. This is my body right now. It's going to be what it's going to be. Tools that you can actually use are things like unfollow diet and holiday detox content. Just like I said, unfollow those Instagram influencers that make you not feel good about yourself. You can pre-plan responses to comments, like literally saying, I'm not talking about my body today. Or tell someone, can you not comment on my body? Just that's it. You don't need to say anything else. And also eat for satisfaction, not punishment. Okay. There are so many yummy holiday treats. There's so many fun cocktails. There's so much socializing. Don't beat yourself up and don't miss out on the fun stuff if that's what you think is fun. If that's what's going to bring you joy in December, I say go for it. And again, let's just be very clear. Enjoying food is not a moral failure. Food is connection, it is culture, it is memory, and it is comfort. You are allowed to enjoy it without earning it. You don't have to work for it. Your body is not a holiday project. Part 8. Why New Year, New Me energy can be toxic. January is sold as a reset, but it often feels like a judgment. I love a New Year's resolution. I love a fresh start. I have said it time and time again. I'll say it over and over. I love New Year's. I love the opportunity to reflect, revisit the year, and build new plans, but that's not for everyone. Suddenly, in January or the end of the year, you're expected to reflect, to assess, to improve, fix, glow up, and reinvent yourself, all while you're exhausted from December, because December's a lot. And here's what psychology actually shows: self compassion leads to more sustainable growth than self criticism. Shame based motivation works briefly and then it collapses. Reflection does not mean inventorying your flaws. It means noticing what worked, what didn't, and what you need now. So, your little reframe is: you are not behind, you are on a timeline shaped by real life. And here's some tools that will help with that. Try replacing what's wrong with me with what's been hard. You can set intentions instead of goals and let rest be productive. We all need to rest sometimes. You don't need to become someone new to be worthy of love and success. Growth does not require erasing yourself. And we're going to talk a lot more about New Year's resolutions, that trend, all through January, but we're going to take a slightly less we're going to take a less toxic approach there. We're going to set intentions instead of goals. We're going to get into the meat of that whole new year, new me situation because, as I said, I dig it. But I do think that there is a healthier way to approach new year, new me, because it's like new year upgraded me, new year, same me. Like there's so many ways you could go down that New Year's path. It's like I'm like biting my tongue right now because I want to say so much, but there's whole episodes about it. So I'm not going to go into it, but we're going to take a non-toxic approach to New Year, New Me beginning in January. So stay tuned for that. Part 9. Small mental health wins count more than big traditions. There's a little lie that floats around that says that mental health only counts if it looks impressive. And I think that's really something that we tell ourselves. But staying home when you need to rest, that's regulation. Skipping a party, that's self awareness. And choosing comfort, that's care. And all those things I love, I dig, I suggest you try. Neuroscience backs this up. Your nervous system heals through consistency and safety, not grand gestures. So smaller rituals matter more than big traditions. It could be a walk, a nice quiet morning. I love a quiet morning with my coffee and my dog. I have a little ritual. I put on Real Housewives on Saturday morning. I make myself avocado toast. This month I've been making these fun little Christmas lattes that are in these really cute West Elm mugs that I ordered. And just having those little rituals are much more important than these big giant traditions. And it could also be a favorite movie or a meal that just feels grounding. Here's your reframe: you don't owe performance, you owe yourself peace. You get to create holidays that feel supportive, not punishing. Truly, the holidays can be whatever you want them to be. If you want to sit at home alone in your PJs, go for it. If you want to go see a DJ, go for it. If you want to fly across the country and go to what are those Christmas markets in Germany by yourself, go for it. You can do whatever you want for the holidays. You just got to reframe it. And our final little section, number 10, it's okay if the holidays are not magical. Let's end this with permission. The holidays don't have to heal you. They don't have to be meaningful. They don't have to be joyful. They can just be like fine. It can just be whatever. Fine is allowed. Quiet is allowed. And low key is allowed. The Hallmark version of the holidays is completely fictional. Real life is messier. Real life can sometimes be quieter. And real life is far more honest. Here's your reframe: this season doesn't define you, it passes through you. Because December is going to come and go. You're still going to be here on the other side of it. Joy doesn't have to look loud. It can look like peace or relief or rest. And sometimes that joy that we think others are experiencing, again, is not always the case. Like, this is an example that it's not true, but I usually do my holidays with my friends who live in the Hollywood Hills, and they have a beautiful home. And I always take a really nice picture with me and my dog overlooking the view. And then I text that picture. I do a little editing, of course. I put a little Merry Christmas, some friggin' snowflakes or something. And then I'll text that to my friends, my family, as like my digital Christmas card on the day of Christmas. But like, on the inside, I could be crumbling. I could be sad. I could be depressed. And they all comment, "Oh my God, it's beautiful. It looks so warm. You're living the life. You're so lucky." But like, little do they know, I could feel terrible on the inside. That's not the case. I'm always grateful to be there. I've never had an experience at Christmas where I've like super been sad or depressed or like not into the holidays. So I'm very grateful. I feel very blessed to have experienced a life like that. But just because something on the outside looks glowing and beautiful doesn't always mean that it is. And if all you do this season is survive with your mental health intact, that definitely counts. And that is very important. So now we're going to recap and put all of these 10 sections into a very short, easy to use tool, a no pressure, no perfection guide to getting you through the holidays with your sanity intact. So this is really the Cliff Notes version. We're going to revisit these things, give you a little reminder, and maybe reframe some of them so they might absorb better. So number 1, you don't need a reason to feel weird. If everything looks fine, but you feel off, that is normal. Shorter days, more expectations, disrupted routines, and emotional memories all hit at once. Try this. Name the feeling instead of judging it. Say, I feel overwhelmed. I feel disconnected. Naming your emotions reduces their intensity. Number 2, family can trigger old versions of you. Feeling like you've regressed, it's your nervous system responding to old patterns. Reframe it. You're not overreacting, you're time traveling. Again, ground yourself in the moment. Say, I'm an adult, I live my own life, and I am safe. Number 3, grief can coexist with joy. Missing people, relationships, or past versions of yourself doesn't mean you're stuck. The truth is that grief doesn't cancel joy. They can exist side by side. You go on a walk, you journal, you light a candle, put on a song that lets you feel, watch a movie that might make you cry. Give grief somewhere to go. Number 4, loneliness versus being alone. Loneliness is about disconnection, not proximity to people. Protect your mental health. Unfollow accounts that make you feel worse about yourself. Choose one meaningful connection over multiple obligations. Number 5, money does not measure love. Holiday spending pressure is real, people, and it's very stressful. Set your boundaries early. Decide your budget ahead of time. Stick with it with no guilt. That is your plan. Screw anybody else who says otherwise. Choose presents over giving presents. Again, you get that, right? Presents over presents. Good. Number 6, boundaries are not rude. Saying no, leaving early, or opting out is self-respect. Phrases that you are allowed to use. I'm keeping things simple this year. I'm not discussing that today. I'm heading out early. Love you. Bye. Talk to you never. 7, food is not moral. Enjoying food is not a failure. Your body does not need permission to exist. You got to shift that language. Food, well, it's fuel, it's culture, it's comfort, and it's connection. It is not a test. Go eat that gingerbread cookie that has way too much icing on it because gingerbread cookies are the bomb. 8, you are not behind. New year, new me pressure can turn reflection into self-criticism. Rest is productive. Growth doesn't require punishment. 9, small wins count. Staying home, skipping plans, choosing comfort. These are wins. Your nervous system is going to heal through safety, not through spectacle. And 10, fine is enough. The holidays don't need to be magical. Peace, quiet, and survival absolutely count. And again, you are allowed to just get through the season. You're allowed to just like trudge your way through. You don't have to perform throughout it. Okay? That was a lot, but we made it. Well, I made it. And if you made it this far, first of all, proud of you. Good job. I quite frankly think a lot of these are really helpful. And if nothing else, I do hope that this episode reminded you that you're not being dramatic or broken or ungrateful or failing the holidays, because truly December is a lot. I'm already feeling it. When I was teaching some of my classes earlier, I was like, you guys, I got an attitude today. It's the end of the year. It's only going to get worse. So let's keep things moving. And truthfully, the fact that you're still showing up at all says more about your resilience than any perfectly wrapped gift ever could. You don't need love this season. You don't need to make it meaningful. You don't need to be joyful on command. You're allowed to be exactly where you are. Truly pause for a second and take the pressure off yourself. Like, let it go. And if this episode helped, share it with someone who might need permission to lower the bar this holiday season. And if you need a little recap, don't forget to check out the Holiday Mental Health Survival Guide, which is on my website. It's there to support you when your brain gets loud and the group chat gets overwhelming and you forget everything that I just said. Also, make sure you're following me on Instagram and TikTok at _hotairpod. Visit my website, hotairwithjoshuarobert.com, for that holiday survival guide, to submit your listener stories, to shop my merch, and also submit your topic suggestions. We are almost through December. We're going to be shifting gears soon enough. Stick with me because I feel like I'm just like almost there. We're almost there. 2025 has been insane, you guys. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And of course, I will be back. Duh. But until then, take care of yourself the way that you would take care of someone that you love. Tell yourself what you would tell your friends, okay? My therapist always says that. What would you tell your friend? And that really brings me back down to earth. But anywho, I'm going to be on my way. So stick around. Next Tuesday's episode is a goodie. I have a guest. She is a pastor here in San Diego, and we were talking about a inclusive religion. We're talking about Christianity from an LGBTQ plus church and pastor point of view. It's a really good contrast to all of these heavy religion focused episodes that I have done thus far. So I really think that her perspective is going to bring a lot of light to this topic of religion that has been, frankly, a little bit dark this December. So stick around for that next Tuesday. It's really good. You're not going to want to miss it. But until then, I will see you next Tuesday.